Language Foundations Vocabulary Flashcards, helping you achieve understanding.
The educator who has executive authority for a school. She sent unruly pupils to see the principal. The major party to a financial transaction at a stock exchange. Buys and sells for his own account. An actor who plays a principal role. Capital is contrasted with the income derived from it. Most important element. The principal rivers of America. Criminal law. Any person involved in a criminal offense, regardless of whether the person profits from such involvement. The original amount of a debt on which interest is calculated. Computer science. A tiny electromagnetic coil and metal pole used to write and read magnetic patterns on a disk. Be in charge of. Who is heading this project? A person who is in charge. The head of the whole operation. That which is responsible for one's thoughts, feelings, and conscious brain functions. The seat of the faculty of reason. I couldn't get his words out of my head. Be the first or leading member of a group and excel. This student heads the class. The educator who has executive authority for a school. The upper part of the human body or the front part of the body in animals, contains the face and brains. He stuck his head out the window. Travel in front of. Go in advance of others. The procession was headed by John. The part in the front or nearest the viewer. He was at the head of the column. A line of text serving to indicate what the passage below it is about. The heading seemed to have little to do with the text. A V-shaped mark at one end of an arrow pointer. A difficult juncture. Matters came to a head yesterday. Forward movement. The ship made little headway against the gale. Oral stimulation of the genitals. They say he gives good head. A dense cluster of flowers or foliage. A head of cauliflower. The subject matter at issue. Under the head of minor Roman poets. Direct the course. Determine the direction of traveling. The source of water from which a stream arises. They tracked him back toward the head of the stream. A natural elevation, especially a rocky one that jets out into the sea. Grammar, the word in a grammatical constituent that plays the same grammatical role as the whole constituent. A membrane that is stretched taut over a drum. An individual person. Tickets are $5 per head. A projection out from one end. The head of the nail. A rounded compact mass. The head of a comet. A single domestic animal. 200 head of cattle. A user of, usually soft, drugs. The office was full of secret heads. Be in the front of or on top of. The list was headed by the name of the president. Form a head or come or grow to a head. The wheat headed early this year. Nautical. A toilet on board a boat or ship. Remove the head of. Head the fish. Take its rise. These rivers head from a mountain range in the Himalayas. That part of a skeletal muscle that is away from the bone that it moves. The foam or froth that accumulates at the top when you pour an effervescent liquid into a container. The beer had a large head of foam. The front of a military formation or procession. The head of the column advanced boldly. The length or height based on the size of a human or animal head. He is 2 heads taller than his little sister. The pressure exerted by a fluid. A head of steam. The rounded end of a bone that fits into a rounded cavity in another bone to form a joint. The head of the humerus. The striking part of a tool. The head of the hammer. The tip of an abscess, where the pus accumulates. The top of something. The head of the stairs. To go or travel towards. Where is she heading? Usually plural, the obverse side of a coin that usually bears the representation of a person's head. Call heads or tails. The educator who has executive authority for a school. The educator who has executive authority for a school. Someone who purchases and maintains an inventory of goods to be sold. The major party to a financial transaction at a stock exchange. Buys and sells for his own account. A firm engaged in trading. A seller of illicit goods. A dealer in stolen goods. The person who distributes the playing cards in a card game. Be in charge of. The introductory section of a story. It was an amusing lead-in to a very serious matter. Take somebody somewhere. We lead him to our chief. Produce as a result or residue. Be conducive to. The use of computers in the classroom lead to better writing. Lead, as in the performance of a composition. A jumper that consists of a short piece of wire. It was a tangle of jumper cables and clip leads. A news story of major importance. Travel in front of. Go in advance of others. Lead, extend, or afford access. Move ahead of others, in time or space. Preside over. A soft, heavy, toxic, malleable metallic element. Bluish-white when freshly cut but tarnishes readily to dull gray. The children were playing with lead soldiers. Cause something to pass or lead somewhere. Stretch out over a distance, space, time, or scope. Run or extend between 2 points or beyond a certain point. Be ahead of others. Be the first. An actor who plays a principal role. Evidence pointing to a possible solution. The police are following a promising lead. Thin strip of metal used to separate lines of type in printing. Restraint consisting of a rope, or light chain, used to restrain an animal. The timing of ignition relative to the position of the piston in an internal combustion engine. An indication of potential opportunity. A good lead for a job. Mixture of graphite with clay in different degrees of hardness. The marking substance in a pencil. An advantage held by a competitor in a race. He took the lead at the last turn. A position of being the initiator of something and an example that others will follow, especially in the phrase, take the lead. He takes the lead in any group. Baseball. The position taken by a base runner preparing to advance to the next base. He took a long lead off first. Cause to undertake a certain action. Sports, the score by which a team or individual is winning. Tend to or result in. This remark lead to further arguments among the guests. The angle between the direction a gun is aimed and the position of a moving target, correcting for the flight time of the missile. The playing of a card to start a trick in bridge. The lead was in the dummy. Mark with an asterisk. Linguist star unacceptable sentences. Indicating the most important performer or role. A star figure skater. A star-shaped character asterisk used in printing. The topology of a network whose components are connected to a hub. Someone who is dazzlingly skilled in any field. An actor who plays a principal role. A performer who receives prominent billing. Any celestial body visible, as a point of light, from the Earth at night. A plane figure with 5 or more points, often used as an emblem. Astronomy, a celestial body of hot gases that radiates energy derived from thermonuclear reactions in the interior. Be the star in a performance. Feature as the star. The movie stars Dustin Hoffman as an autistic man. Capital is contrasted with the income derived from it. A collection of writings. He edited the Hemingway corpus. The main part of an organ or other bodily structure. Capital is contrasted with the income derived from it. A person who is in charge. The head of a tribe or clan. A person who exercises control over workers. Most important element. The chief aim of living. Of a clause, capable of standing syntactically alone as a complete sentence. The main, or independent, clause in a complex sentence has at least a subject and a verb. Any very large body of salt water. Most important element. The main doors were of solid glass. A principal pipe in a system that distributes water or gas or electricity or that collects sewage. Of force. Of the greatest possible intensity. By main strength. A combatant who is able to defeat rivals. Get on top of. Deal with successfully. An authority qualified to teach apprentices. Key that secures entrance everywhere. Be or become completely proficient or skilled in. She mastered Japanese in less than 2 years. An original creation, i.e., an audio recording, from which copies can be made. Presiding officer of a school. Have dominance or the power to defeat over. Her pain completely mastered her. A person who has general authority over others. An officer who is licensed to command a merchant ship. An artist of consummate skill. A master of the violin. Have a firm understanding or knowledge of, be on top of. Most important element. The master bedroom. Directs the work of others. Someone who holds a master's degree from academic institution. A preliminary election where delegates or nominees are chosen. Of or being the essential or basic part. One of the main flight feathers projecting along the outer edge of a bird's wing. Coil forming the part of an electrical circuit such that changing current in it induces a current in a neighboring circuit. Current through the primary coil induces current in the secondary coil. Most important element. Policemen were primary targets. Astronomy, a celestial body, especially a star, relative to other objects in orbit around it. Not derived from or reducible to something else, basic. A primary instinct. Of first rank or importance or value, direct and immediate rather than secondary. Primary goals. Of great significance or value. Having authority or ascendancy or influence. An important official. Of great significance or value. Important people. Important in effect or meaning. Of extreme importance, vital to the resolution of a crisis. Having or suggesting a consciousness of high position. Recited the decree with an important air. Someone who educates young people. Someone who educates young people. Someone who educates young people. A person skilled in large-scale financial transactions. Conduct financial operations. A person skilled in large-scale financial transactions. A theatrical performer. A person who acts and gets things done. He's a principal actor in this affair. A theatrical performer. A theatrical performer. Of or relating to drama. The movie director had thespian cooperation. A person who makes deceitful pretenses. A theatrical performer. Someone who takes part in an activity. He was a major player in setting up the corporation. A person who participates in or is skilled at some game. Someone who plays a musical instrument, as a profession. A theatrical performer. A person who pursues a number of different social and sexual partners simultaneously. The upper part of a column that supports the entablature. The federal government of the United States. One of the large alphabetic characters used as the first letter in writing or printing proper names and sometimes for emphasis. Printers once kept the type for capitals and for small letters in separate cases. Capitals were kept in the upper half of the typecase and so became known as uppercase letters. Assets available for use in the production of further assets. Uppercase. Capital A. A book written by Karl Marx, 1867, describing his economic theories. A center that is associated more than any other with some activity or product. The crime capital of Italy. A seat of government. First rate. A capital fellow. Of primary importance. Our capital concern was to avoid defeat. Wealth in the form of money or property owned by a person or business and human resources of economic value. A person who transgresses moral or civil law. A person who transgresses moral or civil law. An obligation to pay or do something. Money or goods or services owed by one person to another. The state of owing something, especially money. He is badly in debt. The British cabinet minister responsible for finance. The person who is head of government, in several countries. The honorary or titular head of a university. Presiding officer of a school.
Become our student and get access to effective and free educational materials. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to become a part of our growing YouTube community and to learn English effectively.